Ron Johnson, member of the Foreign Relations Committee, joins us now from Capitol Hill with reaction. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Senator, we just heard, I hear Secretary Kerry, and I think, a lot of words. But I got to say, some of your comments, President Nero fiddling, and he's got to do something, talking about President Obama. It's like both sides, there's a lot of words and a lot of rhetoric, but I don't know really whether we want. I mean, when you say the president hasn't done anything, what definitively do you think the U.S. should do in terms of punishing Putin?
Well, what we need to do is we have to match strength against strength. And what Vladimir Putin's doing is obviously using his energy resources to continue to blackmail Europe. So we need to certainly undermine his monopoly in energy. And then we've got to bolster Europeans and NATO's defenses. We certainly need to show our full support with President Poroshenko. Rather than just study the military situation there, we should have had that assessment within a couple of weeks, and we should have started in a very overt, a very straightforward fashion, start rearming, resupplying the Ukrainian military so those folks can defend themselves. They're brave people. They'll defend their nation, but they need some military equipment. They've been asking for it. All we've done is give them meals ready to eat and sleeping mats and first aid kits. We really need to show Russia that we will match their military buildup in eastern Ukraine, and we'll help Ukraine match that so they can defend themselves.
Senator, something we noticed last week, and I brought it up, I think it was with the very brief response the president made in the first case. I think it was like 40 seconds, then fundraisers, and off to New York for more fundraisers, and even in Texas for fundraisers, close to the border, doesn't visit the border. So I can see all that, and I can see how you might say something, but the president doesn't need to win another election. He needs to try and keep the Senate in 2014. I mean, I don't want to be cynical, but isn't that probably what's in the back of his mind, is that he can do more good? These are intractable, seem intractable, these situations. I mean, I bet Republicans would be doing the same thing if they thought that the Senate was in jeopardy.
Listen, Joe, these are difficult situations. I don't envy the president's task, but he's the president of the United States. And if I keep hearing Secretary Kerry saying this is a wake-up call. Well, wasn't what happened in Syria a wake-up call? Wasn't the taking over Crimea a wake-up call? Now it takes the downing of a commercial airliner from 33,000 feet. That's going to be the wake-up call. We've had the wake-up calls. We've drawn the red lines. We have to take action. And action is once again, we've got to certainly help Poroshenko secure his border. We have the Budapest Memorandum. Russia is in clear violation of that. Nobody's really pointing that out anymore. We assured Ukraine that we would help them assure their border integrity. And we're not doing that, and we need to do that.
What's amazing, Senator, is when they asked for weapons last time, we didn't provide them, in part because we didn't want to look like we were inflaming the situation, and yet here's Russia absolutely arming the other side.
Yeah, do you think Putin is sitting here shaking his boots because we delivered MREs? I mean, I keep hearing we need to offer Putin an off-ramp. Putin is looking for on-ramps. He's looking for other opportunities to continue to expand, Russia, all based on his ego. This is all about Vladimir Putin, and I said it when we were in Ukraine right before the Crimean vote. I said if there's any bloodshed in Crimea, there's one person to blame. That's Vladimir Putin. I think there's one person to blame for this down airliner. I know he didn't pull the trigger, but he's the one providing the weaponry. He's the one enabling these separatists in Ukraine. We need to understand that.
How far do you go? When you talk about, for example, assisting Europe with natural gas, for example, that doesn't solve their problem tomorrow, this week, this winter. That's a longer-term solution. But what about, do you tell the oil companies you can't do business there anymore?
No, what you need to do is, I think it's really more of a military response. And I'm not saying combat boots on the ground. I'm saying in a very overt, very visible fashion, we start rearming the Ukrainian military so they can defend themselves. And we should be putting more NATO troops into places like Poland. We should certainly reconstitute the missile defense shield that basically President Obama unilaterally withdrew. Let's have NATO buy those Mistral ships. Let's have France not sell those Mistral ships to Russia. Let's not have anybody in NATO be buying arms from Russia. I mean, this has got to be across the board, but we've got to show far greater strength and resolve as the Western Europe, in Europe and in NATO and the United States.
What are we going to do, Senator, when these old like so many times, I guess maybe a month or two, these may not be the things that we're talking about. We'll be back to talking about, whether we're ever going to get an economy that goes to 3%, and we're going to be arguing about what policymakers should be doing to try to help job creation. And it just seems like 2016 is going to roll around, and we're not going to have done anything in terms of helping the economy.
Well, first of all, that's what Putin's counting on, is it will turn our attention away from this so that he'll just take a next opportunity. But like Admiral Mullen said, the greatest threat to our national security is our debt and deficit, and this president also is doing nothing. So, you can say, and I did say this, that he's out to lunch. He is President Nero fiddling as the world burns, but he's also President Nero fiddling while our American economy is not recovering, while our debt and deficit continues to explode. Yeah, we've cut the deficit in half, but we're still on the path to have far greater deficits over the next 30 years, somewhere in the order of $66 to $127 trillion. This president is doing nothing to address that.
But, Senator, it seems like you've got the president fiddling and Congress fiddling while companies are re-domiciling because of the tax rates that are too high here. And
right. I mean, I'd love to do corporate tax reform. Harry Reid says, well, the only way you do tax reform is you have to first agree to increase taxes by $1 trillion. Joe, look at how utterly counterproductive that would be. If we're going to do things big in this country, it requires presidential leadership, and this president isn't leading. He's not doing anything on the debt and deficit. He's not putting forward a plan to make sure that those companies don't leave this country. I mean, again, to me, it's pretty obvious you have to make America an attractive place for risk-taking, business investment, business expansion. We're not doing any of those things. And again, it takes presidential leadership, and that's why I'm so critical of this president just basically being detached, going on fundraising trips, and not really dealing with the significant domestic and foreign policy issues facing this country and this world.
Andrew's got a bill written to just outlaw these companies from leaving without really fixing anything. I think
that's not true. I would like to fix this very
but we're not going to, so you just want to tell them they can't leave.
I think in the short term we have to think about this. And I question, Senator, and I wonder your view. What do you think of the companies that are taking advantage of this?
It's natural. I mean, if you're going to locate a manufacturing facility for the North American market, are you going to locate it in Toronto at 15% or Detroit at 35% tax rate? I mean, people respond to the incentives put there by government in terms of taxation, in terms of regulatory environment. We need to benchmark both of those, our tax system, our regulatory system against world competitors and make ourselves more
competitive. I don't disagree with anything you just said, but you take zero umbrage at the fact that there are American companies who have received all sorts of tax subsidies from this country, all sorts of, you can list the things that American companies have benefited from.
We got to talk about this. Go ahead, Senator. But.
Well, the corporate tax raises about 10% of all revenue. All the lobbying is about the corporate tax. And you know who pays the corporate tax? Individuals.
Right.
The workers in terms of wages and benefits, and consumers. How about we make the owners pay the corporate tax? I propose this. I've done this in hearing.
Andrews also and others are worried about a race to zero around the world if we start cutting. Why not go to zero and just do it with individuals? And then if you have more individuals paying personal taxes and you're raising I keep hearing you say that almost like the corporations are ungrateful that the government has built these roads and this infrastructure, almost as if the government is some self-funding entity that through its generous largesse allows corporations to use this infrastructure. The government is there to take the money from corporations, create these jobs, then people get taxed, and then the revenue goes back to the government, then they build the roads. But
I don't disagree with you, but there's one major complication.
But why do they got to? Why do you take umbrage that like the government did this out of their the goodness of their heart, allowing corporations to use these?
So we have no price controls on drugs.
Well, thank God.
If you want to move to the Netherlands, I say great, go to the Netherlands and then charge us for the drugs the same way you charge the people of the Netherlands for the drugs. Look at the individual tax rate in the Netherlands, by the way.
That's like putting so many different.
I'm just saying.
Go ahead, Senator.
I take umbrage at Congress acting in ways that make our company so uncompetitive.
Senator?
Personally, I actually want life-saving new drugs, so I don't mind that. Pharmaceutical companies make money. There are a number of ways you can make the owners pay for the corporate tax, LLCs. There's a number of ways to do it. We should explore that so we actually create the incentives for businesses to want to manufacture close to their customer here in America.
Yeah. All right. Senator Ron Johnson, appreciate it.